Hello, everybody. Welcome to Malibu Pacific Church Online. We are so excited that you're here. My name is Joel.
I'm Joshua.
And we're here at a local coffee company called Blue Bottle. Andy talked about it in his sermon last week. He talked about this drink called the Bella Donovan. And so I was like, you know what? I got to go try this thing. And he was not wrong. This is probably one of the best coffees I've ever had in the history of forever. And I'm talking really, really fast because I drink it.
It's a good point. Part of the reason we drink coffee is because it tastes good, but also we drink with friends because it spurs conversation. The caffeine gets going. I've actually got a tea here.
Oh.
And you know, later in the service, we're going to hear about a conversation that Jesus had with someone. It's a really deep conversation. Maybe it was caffeinated, I don't know, but they go really deep. Jesus, I know, drank tea because they had tea back in that day, but they didn't have coffee. I looked it up. Coffee was invented like 1,000 years later. But it still got me wondering, would Jesus be like a coffee or tea guy if he had the option right now? What do you think?
I think he's a wine guy. Oh. Come on, it's biblical.
Oh, okay, yes. Okay, so yes. You dodged the question, but okay.
Yeah.
He probably likes both.
Absolutely. So hey, this Sunday here at Malibu Pacific Church, we are starting a brand new series called Go Local, and you're going to be hearing about it in the sermon. You're going to see it on social media, and we want you to play along and come along on this ride because we want to, as a church, go local, and you'll understand if you stay tuned.
It's one thing to say we need to love one another. It's another one to actually go and do it. Here at Malibu Pacific Church, we want to put love into action. And during the season of COVID, where businesses are struggling and our community is struggling and the local businesses are having a hard time just making it, we want to go and support them and love them. So we're doing a campaign called Go Local, where we're going to support our local businesses. And it's our way of supporting the people here in the city. So what we decided to do is have a little bit of fun, and we want you to join in. We're going to give everybody one of these bingo cards, and there's 25 different squares. And when you go and fill out one of these squares, we want you to take a picture of it and then hashtag GoLocalMPC and post it on social media. And then when you go to the business, drop off one of these business cards that says, "Don't give up, we're here for you." So we want everybody to join this movement because Jesus did say, love your neighbor. And so that's action. We don't want to just talk about loving our neighbor. We want to actually do it. So we want to encourage everybody to join in on the movement, that we would support our businesses and then have businesses support their businesses and have a huge social media campaign called Go Local NPC. And we want to share it to everyone so that they would know that we are for them. We can't wait to join in and play the game, pick up a card, and let's do this.
If you're ready to join in and go local, we want to get you bingo cards and business cards to give out on your journey. So what you can do is find them on Instagram or on Facebook. We're going to plaster them all over our social media. You can screenshot it, you could print it, however you want. You can do this digitally. Or if you'd like this physical copy in hand, we're gonna have them at church Monday through Thursday, 9 to 3. Please come in, social distance, masked, and we'll get these to you. We also, speaking of masks, have masks to give you so that you can wear them out as you're going local and give them out to those around. We hope to see you in person or digitally doing our Go Local campaign. Hashtag GoLocalMPC.
against the world, but it couldn't feel me. Man's empty praise and treasures that fade are never enough. But you came along, you put me back together, and every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you. There's nothing, nothing is better than you. Yeah. And I'm not afraid to show you my weakness, my failures and flaws. You've seen them all. You still call me friend. The God of the mountain is the God of the valley, and there's not a place your mercy and grace won't find me again. Oh, no, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you. There's nothing, nothing is better than you. Nothing is better than you. Oh no, there's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing better than you, Lord. There's nothing, nothing is better than you. You turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can sing it again. You turn mourning to dancing. Oh, you give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You turn graves. You turn graves into gardens.
everyone, I'm Sayona, and I'm so glad to be kicking off this new series, Go Local, with you, inspiring our community to go out and love our neighbor, to bless this community. That's why we're out here filming out in Malibu. Andy and I will be picking out stories of Jesus out in the community, so stories of Jesus showing who he's for, how he's loving and blessing others. And today, we just want to inspire a new sense of loving and reaching out to our neighbor, because we know that we probably lost a lot of that sense of community throughout this past year, feeling isolated, lonely, and looking for more. I know that I've even lost a sense of engaging with people as we wear those masks, as we're behind the plexiglass checking out in the grocery store. I know that I've been less interested in getting to know people because it's harder. I know the Amazon delivery truck is more exciting to my kids than going to a local store because we just haven't been for this past year. So we've been in our community life has really become transactional through this season, and we've lost that sense of community this year. So let's restore that. Let's bring that back. Instead of living for ourselves, today we want to talk about being for something bigger than ourselves. And that movement, that question that I want to ask you is, what do you want to be known for? And as a church, what do we want to be known for? And today, I want to answer those questions in 3 ways. I want to look at the Bible and look at that story of Jesus today. And then I want to give us 3 practical ways that we can be for other people, bigger than ourselves, to go for this community. And then I want to share with you just one story of a couple in our church that I think is really modeling this Go Local movement that we want to start here in our church. So first, let's start with the Bible. It's a good place to start, right? And if you have your phones or your home there hanging out, you can actually get the Bible on your phone. That's what I'll be reading from today. And a great place to start if you've never read the Bible before is the Gospel of John. And if you've been reading the Bible your whole life, it's a great place to be too. I hope you might read this in more detail later on, because I'm going to skim over this story that we're in today. In chapter 4 of the Gospel of John, we're going to look at Jesus's divine appointment with the woman at the well. She's the Samaritan woman at the well. So we're going to start in John chapter 4, verse 4. So let's read that. Now he had to go through Samaria. So he came to a town in Samaria called Sychar. Jacob's well was there, and Jesus, tired as he was from the journey, sat down by the well, and it was noon. So Jesus had to go through Samaria, had to go to this town, to the well, to this woman. And here he is waiting for someone in particular at the well. And this woman is going to walk up, and we're going to see her. She's going to come. She's going to think that no one will notice her because she's coming in the middle of the day. Most people would come in the morning as a community event with friends in the cool of the morning as opposed to the heat of the day. But Jesus was there waiting for her. And verse 7, it says, when a Samaritan woman came to draw water, Jesus said to her, "Will you give me a drink?" Okay, so this question, it wasn't a pickup line, "Will you give me a drink?" This was Jesus engaging with the person that God wanted him to meet with there at that well, that gathering place that she came kind of scared to be at, hoping that no one would notice her, unexpected meeting there with Jesus. And the Samaritan woman said to him, "You are a Jew and I am a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink? For Jews do not associate with Samaritans." You see, here Jesus is finding common ground, and he's starting up a conversation with somebody that society and the people around him are going to say, "Do not do this." He's breaking all cultural norms. He's crossing religious barriers, because Jewish people wouldn't associate with Samaritan people in that time, and vice versa. Samaritan people wouldn't associate with Jewish people at that time. But Jesus was there because he had to go there. That was where God had sent him, and he was going to show that woman that he was for her there. And through that woman, he's going to show that he was for the whole town there at the well. meeting at that gathering place that the woman had to go to, but really didn't want to be noticed. So Jesus is breaking through these barriers. He's breaking through the norms of the day to have a conversation with this woman. And Jesus is going to keep the conversation going. He's going to engage with her and ask her questions and bring this conversation deeper and deeper. And in Jesus' fashion, because they're sitting at a well, he's going to start talking about water, and he's going to make a metaphor about water, because that's what Jesus does. He's just good with that stuff. And so he's going to say, you know, this water that you've come for, you will continue to thirst if you keep drinking it. But I want to give you something. I want to offer you the water that will never run dry, that you'll never thirst again if you take this water from me. And she doesn't really know what he's talking about. And so she's interested. Of course, she doesn't want to keep coming back to this well. So she says in verse 15, "Sir, give me this water so that I won't get thirsty and have to keep coming here to draw water." She's tired. She's been isolated. She's had a hard life, and Jesus knows it. How do we know that? Because in the next verse, he says this, "Go call your husband and come back." And she says, "I have no husband." Jesus said to her, "You are right when you say you have no husband. In fact, you have had 5 husbands, and the man you now have is not your husband. What you have just said is quite true." So you see, what's happening here is that Jesus is going deep. He says, "I see you, I know you." So he was thirsty and human, but now he's shown he's God and he knows her, and he had a divine appointment to meet with her there at the well. So this woman has a backstory. She's had a rough life. She's had 5 husbands, and here she is exposed. He's exposed her. And the truth is, this woman, women couldn't divorce men in that day. So she had been kind of put out by all these men in her life. They were getting rid of her, divorcing her. Even if one of them had died, the family would have said, "We're done with you. We're not really taking you in anymore." And so they're just like, "I'm through with you." 5 times. She's been through a lot, and Jesus sees her, and he wants to say, "I'm here for you." And this is where the conversation gets really good. He's seeking her out, and they're gonna talk about God, and they're gonna talk about worship, and he's gonna expose all these things with her. And she's gonna say, "Yeah, I see you're a prophet, Jesus." Or she maybe didn't know his name at that point, but "I see you're a prophet. But what I need is a savior. What I need is a Messiah. I need someone to help my whole life." And he looks at her, and this is verse 26, and he says to her, "I, the one who is speaking to you, I am he." That's where he says, "I am for you. I've come for you. I'm gonna rescue you. I'm gonna save you from this whole life. I'm gonna give you the living water to well up inside of you." And that's what Jesus wants to do with all of us. He wants to sit with us at the well, look at us and say, "I know you, I see you." And that's what I want to challenge you with today, is to ask you, have you had that well moment with Jesus where you've let him see you? Because before we go out and love this place around us, before we're for Malibu, we need to know that Jesus is for us. So hear this, get it ready. Before you are for a place, you need to know that Jesus is for you. Before you can be for a place, you need to know that Jesus is for you. And where does that happen? At the wells. Jesus, isn't that awesome? Jesus wants to meet us right in the middle of our daily life. He wants to sit down at the well with us. So my question for you, and we're gonna take a little pause here, just a moment for you to engage, for you to think about this a little bit deeper. Where's your well? For me, it was at the basketball court. It's been on a train, Amtrak train on the East Coast, bus stop in New Jersey, a bar in Portland, Oregon. My one well was even on care.com. Your wells can be digital, Facebook, Instagram, right here, church, right now. It can be a well where Jesus wants to meet with you and say, "I see you, I know you." And through his presence, through his word, through somebody else, you know that God is for you. So where's your well? Take a moment, sit with it, engage in the chat if you're watching live with us, and then come back, because I've got 3 practical things now that we know that Jesus is for us, how are we going to go out into the community and be for someone else? But take a moment with this question right now. Okay, so I hope that you could identify where your well is, where it might be right now in your life, or maybe where you want your well to be with Jesus, where you want to know that God is for you, that He is fighting for you, working with you, coming to rescue you and for you. And once you know that Jesus is for you, like that Samaritan woman knew Jesus was for her, you're freed up, you're released. And as that story goes, she is now sent back. She runs back to her town and she goes and she is being restored back. She shares her testimony with her town. And we're going to read more about that. But that's where we want to go today. We know that Jesus is for the people. He's for this place. He's for the whole world. And so we want to join Him in that and saying that we too are here for the businesses and the schools and the parks and the beaches and all these things that we see, these gathering places, these wells. We want to come and be for them. But the question is how? How are we going to do this? And I have 3 practical things from this story for us today. So get ready. We're going to go through them real quick. The first is to find common ground. We're going to go out and explore this place. Find where our thirsts meet the thirsts of those around us. Go ahead and initiate interaction with people, things you're passionate about. Go say, hey, you want to be in an awesome place where you live? So do we. You want our schools to be good? Yeah, we do too. You want the beaches to be clean? Yeah, we do too. Let's go. We find common ground and we go to those places to find common ground like Jesus did. It's the well. You go to that common gathering place and find common ground. Okay, the second thing that we're going to do is go love one. So what does Jesus do? He cares about all these people in Sychar and Samaria, but He finds one. He had to go to one person. So instead of, in a general sense, loving everyone and trying to love all people generally, go find your one person and love them. This go local movement and effort is only going to happen through relationship, and that happens one person at a time. You can bring people along with you. Jesus in the story, if you read it, He has His disciples with Him. You could bring somebody along and then go find your one person that God has for you in each place and love them. And then that person you're coming with is right along with you. Lastly, number 3, you're going to go create a conversation. This is one of the longest recorded conversations Jesus had with someone. And it's 13 kind of back and forth. And then He keeps the conversation going. He goes and stays with the people at Sychar. And so this is just one big lesson in how to have a conversation with people. Go start a conversation, enter in, ask questions, be curious about people, engage with them, hear their story, get a chance to share your story, your testimony. That leads to greater and greater things. And so there are 3 practical steps. Go find common ground, go love one, and go create a conversation. That's how we're going to do it. That's those bingo cards that you see. It's not just checking the boxes. You have one person at each of those places to go and love. So my question for you now is, who's your one? All right. So when you go out, go looking for that one. Maybe you have to wait. Maybe you have to bring that person, or maybe you have to go find them, initiate, find that common ground. Who's your one? Let's think about that one for a little bit here. Okay, so as you have pondered who is your one for today and each day as you go local, I want you to think about this story as we conclude and wrap up our time. So there's a couple in our church. They're a little bit older. Their names are Jim and Cindy, and I believe that they have modeled what we can do during this Go Local time. So Jim and Cindy are native to Malibu. They didn't grow up here, but they have lived here and raised their kids here. They've invested in this community, and in many ways their home, which burned down in the Woolsey fire, was a gathering place. It was a well for this community. Well, recently they have been in a transition, obviously COVID, but before that, Cindy transitioned out of a role and they lost their home. And so in this season, God has really been showing them new ways to reach out to the community. And I was with them as a part of a group, and on this, they shared a story about a prayer walk they did right here in Malibu. And they started right here at Legacy Park. And they were praying, God, open our eyes to this community. And so they came down here. This is Legacy Park, and it actually tells the story of Malibu. If you come here and look at all the signs, you can learn the history. It was their first time here, even though they've lived in Malibu for a long time. So God is opening up their eyes. As they walk through this park, it just took 5 minutes, and they started to engage with the homeless man who was sitting here. And I can just picture God smiling down as they sat down and created common ground with this man. And they soon learned his story. They learned about how hard his life was in the moment, how he knew God, but he was struggling with addiction. And in that moment, they struck up a conversation, and they got to hear how he was doing. And I could just picture God being like, cheering them on and saying, I'm for you, Jim and Cindy. I'm for this, my child that you're talking with right now too. And the story gets better. So after they leave with that man, that one divine appointment, they keep walking, and they're walking and they're praying, God, open our eyes, as they walk through the Country Mart, and all these different people are coming across them. And they cross through PCH, they head past the lagoon down by Malibu Colony to Surfrider Beach. You can take this route too sometime during this month ahead. And there they're quickened to pray in their hearts for Malibu Colony. And that area is one of the more affluent areas. And just praying for people in this place who have everything but God. And their hearts are moved, and they just want to reach out to these people. And on their way back, they see a family playing at the beach. And they engaged with conversation with that family. And then soon enough, they had a lot of common ground because they actually knew the mom in this family. Way back, Cindy had taught her in preschool 30 years ago. It looked like God really did want to continue the conversation with this woman as they were talking. And I couldn't help but think that woman was there with her family in the heat of the day at noon. And maybe she looked happy and like she was having fun, but we know that she probably needed a hug from God, a little love from God that day, saying, I'm for you. You as that little preschooler, I'm still working in your life. And I can picture God smiling at that. And so guys, let's take Jim and Cindy's example here and go out with prayer and love, because I think this place needs a great big hug after a year like COVID. So imagine what it would look like if everyone in our church rallied around this and found that one person to engage with and have a conversation with and keep that conversation going. Because here's how the story ends in the Gospel of John, chapter 4, with the Samaritan woman. Verse 39 in chapter 4. Many of the Samaritans from that town believed in him because of the woman's testimony. There's our big idea, the bottom line for the day. We are for Malibu, Malibu Pacific Church. We are for Malibu. So go love one so that many will believe. That's our hope, that this whole town would be transformed because you go out each day loving one so that many will believe. Let's go local, Malibu. Have some fun. Excited to see what God does through this time.
Lord, I come, I confess, bowing here, I find my rest. Without you, I fall apart. You're the one that guides my heart. Where grace is found is where you are. And where you are, Lord, I am free. Holiness is Christ in me. Where you are, Lord, I am free. Holiness is Christ in me. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My word, defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. So teach my song to rise to you when temptation comes my way, and when I cannot stand, I fall on you. Jesus, you're my hope and stay. Let's sing that again. So teach my song to rise to you when temptation comes my way, and when I cannot stand, I'll fall on you. Jesus, you're my hope and stay, and when I cannot stand, I'll fall on you. Jesus, you're my hope and stay.